Test, test. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me okay?
Sure. What?
Already hecklers. I'm telling you. My name is Brian Connors. Good evening. And I'm going to be the moderator for this evening. I'm the Director of Marketing for Southwest Healthcare System, which operates Inland Valley Medical Center and Rancho Springs Medical Centers. So thank you for coming this evening. We'll go ahead and start by, please rise, and we'll go ahead and say the Pledge of Allegiance. And the flag is up here on the stage. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Welcome to the 2014 Murrieta City Council Candidates Forum. Tonight, each candidate will be given 2 minutes for their opening statement. The candidate that is seated in seat 1 will go first. Who's in seat 1 tonight? All right, Alan Long, very good. After each candidate has given their opening statements, I will begin with the questions. Each question will be answered by all candidates, and each will have, get this, 1 minute to answer the question. Question 1 will be answered first by the candidate in seat 1, and then the candidate in seat 2 will answer the same question, and so on. Question 2 will be answered first by the candidate in seat 2. And then the candidate in seat 3 will answer the same question, and so on. Patrick Ellis, our President CEO Chamber. Patrick, wave to everybody. My beautiful Vanna White there. You know, we're on a tight budget, you know. So what he'll be doing is that he'll be in the front row here, and he'll have cards that list 30 seconds. You see here, 30 seconds to go. And then he'll also have a 10-second card. 10 seconds, candidates, is extremely short time. So that, when that comes up, that's basically timeout, all right? And I'll help try to keep you on time for that. So, yes?
Could you just explain that I am seated over here so I don't affect anybody, either in the audience or up here. Courtesy of Rhonda, I have some hand sanitizer, so every time I get the microphone, I will be sanitizing my hands before and after.
Very good. All right. So thank you so much, Rick, for acknowledging that. Rick's under the weather, so he's seated over as far as possible on this side without going off the end of the stage. So we like to keep you up here. And he's got some hand sanitizer, so after every time he handles the mic, he'll go ahead and do that for us. So thank you, Rick, for that. Appreciate that. Okay, so tonight we have, and this is not in order here, but I'll go ahead, and who's with us tonight is Rick Gibbs here, Alan Long, Diana Serafin is not with us tonight, but she sent an email, and we're going to read this email from her to our President and CEO of the Chamber. Dear Patrick, I will not be attending the forum tonight. If it were a debate and more people attending, it would be different. Since there is a usually low turnout, I find my time is better spent walking door to door and talking with citizens. Please let everyone know that if they have questions for me, email them to d.serafin@verizon.net. Thank you for the invitation. We also have seated on the stand here, Kent Leeper, James Richardson, right here. I'm sorry, James Richardson. Oh, James Richardson's not here. I'm so sorry, Jonathan. I'm so sorry. James Richardson, who's not here with us this evening. Matthew Alvarez, over here. Brian Barton. Jonathan Ingram. I got that right here. And Ruthann Taylor-Berger. With that said, we'll go ahead and start with opening introductions. Alan Long.
Thank you. My name is Alan Long, 42-year resident, married my lovely wife, Lisa. We met in junior high at Murrieta Valley Elementary School. We both have our parents and our grandparents still living here in the Valley, and we are proud to say we are raising a fourth generation of Longs right here in City Murrieta. Some of you may know me in the past as Coach counselor, planning commissioner, public safety and traffic commissioner, and volunteer firefighter. Today, I'm currently an administrative battalion chief for the city of Anaheim, the emergency management director for the city of Anaheim, and your current mayor for the city of Murrieta. In 2010, you elected me with the highest number of votes. Murrieta was a much different place then than it is now. Revenue was down, hospitals were nearly being shut down, and foreclosures were at an all-time high. Tonight, you will hear what my platform was, what I did, and why Murrieta is a much better place than it was 4 years ago when you elected me in 2010. My name is Alan Long, and I'm asking you to re-elect me to Murrieta City Council. Thank you.
My name is Matthew Alvarez. I want to thank you all for this opportunity to speak with you. Thank you for taking time out of your day to also be here. It's good to see so many people getting involved and taking time out of your day. And it's good to see that you understand the importance of these local elections. A lot of people kind of take them for granted. I want to take a quick opportunity to tell you a little bit about who I am. First and foremost, I am a husband and father. My wife and children who are always here to support me. I'm a Eagle Scout. I'm a former Army Ranger, which I served 4.5 years. I'm a current police officer. I'm a conservative with a love for the Constitution and this country. I've dedicated my life to serving this country, my country, your country, my communities, and the people within it. My life experiences have granted me training and leadership and a unique ability to make decisions and resolve tough situations, regardless of how difficult it may seem. Again, I'd like to thank you, and look forward to answering your questions and concerns.
My name is Kent Lieber, and this is way out of my comfort zone. So I had some very deep concerns that made me want to try to start to do something here in Murrieta. I'm running for city council because I see the darkness of tyranny from an overbearing national government and a mandate-happy state government sweeping over the land. And my vision for Murrieta is we go not gentle into that dark night. My vision for Murrieta is that we use the 10th Amendment to say to that tyranny, as we said to the red light cameras, not in Murrieta. My vision for Murrieta is that we say to a state government that puts more mandates on us, such as releasing prisoners early into our community, and that takes more money from us, not in Murrieta. My vision for Murrieta is we say to the federal agents who go into health food stores and vitamin stores with guns drawn, as they have all across this nation, not in Murrieta. And if you do, the county sheriff has been instructed to arrest your Constitution-trampling, jurisdictionless selves. My vision for Murrieta is that from Scott Road to Cherry Street, from Bear Creek Drive north to Winchester Road, we let freedom ring, leap forward with Leaper.
My name is Jonathan Ingram, and I thank you for coming out this evening and listen to all the candidates talk. I don't know, is that better? My name is Jonathan Ingram, and I'm running for the city council. I thank you for coming out this evening. It's really hot up here because we're under a bunch of lights, but the reason I decided to run was, why not Murrieta, is what I thought. I'm the president of the Greater Ranch Homeowners Association. I've lived in the community approximately 3.5 years. When we moved into the community, we needed a lot of different things. Started volunteering, I became a liaison to the board, then eventually got elected to president. Most of the people that know me know that when I start working, I don't stop. I'm not a lazy man, and I'm dedicated. My wife and I relocated here with our family. All our families here this evening, our grandchildren, our grandchild, our newest. And I love this city, and I think I can offer a great deal to our city. And I hope that after the election's over that we can all work together, be friends, neighbors, and make our city thrive, and I believe we can do that. Thank you for your time.
Test.
Thank you very much for having us here this evening. I'm Ruth Ann Taylor Berger, and I've lived in Murrieta for 25 years. I have a deep connection with this community. I served on the incorporation committees. I've been on the Traffic and Transportation Commission. I'm currently serving my second year on the Planning Commission, and this year I'm chairman. I'm running for City Council to give back to the city and community that I love, and to protect our quality of life for future generations. I have experience in community planning and transportation infrastructure in both the public and private sectors, and that's over 30 years worth that I've been working in this field. I've managed complex multi-million-dollar budgets, and I have executive leadership and consensus building skills. I will work to keep Murrieta one of the safest cities in the United States by funding additional personnel and equipment as our chiefs see needed. I will continue to provide new roads and interchanges and flood control channel improvements. I know how government works and where to find the money and where to bring it home. To set policies that attract continued business investment into our community, that every person that walks through the front door of City Hall is a potential customer. A stable and consistent council is the key to maintaining our quality of life and attracting continued business investment to our community. And I support business-friendly practices that provide a level playing field for all of our investments. The city is doing well, and the past 8 years' work is paying off. It's not time to shift gears or go in a different direction. So when you look at an applicants for city council, you will look to qualifications, experience, and results, and that leads you back to Ruth Ann Taylor Berger for November council race.
Good evening. My name is Brian Barton. I am sure by my accent over the course of the evening you'll realize I'm not born and raised in Murrieta, but from the East Coast. However, I've been a Murrieta resident since 2002. I was a career Marine for 27 years, spending my last 7 years at Camp Pendleton. My wife and I bought our house in Murrieta in 2002 as the community was growing and thriving at that time. When I retired from the Marine Corps in 2009, I made a decision, along with my wife, that Murrieta would be our home. For many years, I did not have a hometown. As you all know or can imagine, in the military you move every 2 or 3 years. It's very difficult to get connected, especially to the local community. Also, one thing you should know about me, this is my first venture into the political arena. Following my retirement from the Marine Corps, I worked as a Department of Defense contractor for several years. So this is new territory for me. I will freely admit that. But what I want you to take away from me tonight is that I have my entire adult life history of serving this country in one way or another. Now I seek to turn that service towards my new adopted hometown of Murrieta, California. Property owner rights are key to my agenda. Continued smart growth for Murrieta is key, and also the public safety arena and the proper funding for police and fire are my 3 key platform items. So I thank you for this opportunity to be with you tonight, and I look forward to answering any of your questions.
Good evening, I'm Rick Gibbs. 3 decades in military service, 3 decades in the aerospace industry, a master's in public administration. It has been my honor to serve as your council member and mayor in 2008 and again in 2013. We managed the crashing economy and a housing foreclosure crisis. And now we are managing the turnaround, which has witnessed increased demand from developers to process their long-stalled projects. In spite of a 25% loss of revenue, roughly $10 million per year, we tightened our belts and continued to deliver services to all of our citizens. Your city today is on the right path and is served by a great city manager who has hired phenomenal department heads. More jobs were created in Murrieta than were lost in the Great Recession. No city has a better economic development department. We make being business friendly a priority, but we do have standards that we rigorously enforce to ensure that our quality of life is maintained. As one of the top 10 safest cities in the nation, as a city that has high schools that are in the top 10% of all high schools in the nation, we are a community that is an exceptionally desirable location. Murrieta has a proven leadership team whose focus on attracting the industries and jobs of the future will be balanced to carefully ensure that the small town, caring and connected community that I have lived in for 15 years remains one in which neighbors know one another and citizens experience a lifestyle that is second to none. Thank you for your attention. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, candidates. Appreciate that. Everybody, a round of applause for them, right? Okay. Very good. We'll keep that mic on this side, and then after I'm done with announcing it, I'll just hand it over here. So this evening, we accepted, prior to this, the Chamber of Commerce accepted questions from the public via mail, email, hand delivery at the Chamber offices, and through the website up until this previous Monday. The questions that were accepted were questions that are not candidate specific, but ones that will make a difference to the future of Murrieta. Hello. All right, so Patrick just gave me a list of like over 300 questions, so it's going to be, we won't go that far. My goodness, look at this. All right, well, we're going to have a specific timetable here, so we're not going to be here that long, so don't worry about it. All right, so what we'll go ahead, and a reminder, we have 1 minute, correct, Patrick, to answer the question. I'll ask the question. We'll go with Alan and then down through this way. All right? Question 2, we'll start with Matthew, then down through this way, and then Alan will be the one that will wrap up question 2. Okay? If you need the question repeated, feel free to ask that. Question number 1, why are you running for City Council? Please explain your experience and or qualifications for this position.
I'm running for Murrieta City Council to continue to keep Murrieta on the path of progress. In 4 years is a short period of time to see your change in policy come to fruition. In 2010, my platform was very clear and concise. I promised to improve medical services, maintain a high level of public safety, fiscal responsibility, increase recreational activity for all ages, and continue to pursue economic development. We have done that today. We are a much different place than we were 4 years ago. We are on the right path of progress, and we are starting to see that fruit come to Murrieta because of the things we started to do 3 and 4 years ago. Our general plan has laid a clear foundation for developers and businesses to want to come to Murrieta because they will save time, and for developers, time is money, and we're starting to see that with things like Barron, hospitals coming here, hotels coming here, restaurants starting to come here now. I'm running again in 2014 to keep Murrieta on path of progress.
My wife and I are originally from El Cajon, the city of El Cajon, the San Diego area. And out there we watched the city change. It was a very affordable city and a lot of people went there. It was started off very beautiful. And I noticed a lot of trend. And eventually, the way they handled the high density housing and the different aspects of it, it just didn't go well. After joining the Army and coming back after 4 years, I noticed that it was not home anymore. So about 5 years ago, we moved up here to Murrieta. We embedded ourselves in the community. We love this community. And we want to maintain it for our family, for our children, to help for everybody's children. As a police officer, I know exactly what the inner workings of a healthy community looks like, how to work with people, how to get out and talk to people. I do it every day. I get out there and I see what's effective, what works, what doesn't, what is hurting the community. This is why I'm running for Murrieta. I'm running for my family and yours.
I'm Kent Lieber, and I believe that I pretty well made it clear why I'm running. To enshrine freedom and push back against tyranny, and there are techniques that we can use here in Murrieta to do that. My experience is I've been running for 3 months for city council.
I'm running for the love of this community, and I don't want my children to move away from this community. And after walking and knocking on 1,000+ doors over the last 4 months and talking to constituents and residents, my question is, we may be a user-friendly city, but we have reams of bureaucracy, and things are difficult to get accomplished. And I use the phrase, I want a Trader Joe's, I want a Whole Foods, I want to know why I don't have a movie theater, why I have to go to Temecula to see a movie. I think we need to keep more of our income in our community and work on our economic leakage. I think the city council's done a fabulous job, but I bring a new perspective where I'm willing to sit there and talk with people and work with people and do what I need and make the time to do it. And I know it's difficult. I'm not Monday morning quarterbacking anybody up here. What I'm saying is I'm relentless. If Trader Joe's doesn't come, we'll find a company that will come that will provide the same services that Trader Joe's provide. Thank you.
Thank you. I did elaborate as to why I want to run, but just to reiterate, I want to protect our quality of life here for our future residents. Keep Murrieta one of the top 10 safest cities in the United States. I want to have that continued, consistent, stable council message to our constituents here, residents, and future businesses. I want to grow local jobs so we can keep our citizens here and offer them a choice. I want to ensure that women, half our population, are represented on this council. But I did talk a little bit about the skills. I have 30 years in public and private sector planning and transportation infrastructure delivery. I've delivered a $3.7 billion infrastructure program to the county. I have experience in complex financial matters. There's a large variety of state, local, and regional facilities that I am working with, and I can go on and on about, and I'm happy to talk to you more about this, but I'll conclude with that.
Why am I running? First and foremost, one thing I didn't cover in my opening statement is I, like so many people in this community, in this country, was apathetic. I was focused on my career. Also, while I was in the military, I could not get involved in this political process. But now that's changed, so I'm running because I can run. Two, as I said in my opening statement, I seek to serve. I seek to serve Murrieta. Three, I want to do my part to continue the managed growth of the city. I do not want Murrieta to lose its hometown, small town feel, even as it grows into a bigger city. My experience as a senior military officer, I managed personally, was responsible for a budget equal to or very close to the city of Murrieta for 4 years. I know how to set priorities. I know how to be a decisive leader, and that's why I'm running.
I'm running for office because I have the demonstrated and proven education and experience in Murrieta city government and private sector aerospace engineering companies to maintain the delicate balance between our very desirable quality of life with the need to create the jobs of the future that will allow us to become a high technology, engineering, and manufacturing employment center, while simultaneously ensuring that our current employers have the tools and business skills they need to succeed. If you go to rickgibbs.net, you'll see the proof.
Thank you, candidates. All right. For question number 2, we'll start with Matthew for this. Our second question: what important task for a city council member? I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and start this over. One important task for a city council member is to work closely with the city manager and provide feedback. How would you assess the performance of the city manager and why?
I think Mr. Dudley has actually done a fantastic job. He's received some flack for different things, but I think he's been doing a great job. And the proof is within the city. He's been working with the city council daily. He's their resource. He's their go-to guy. And even during this campaign, he's been a big help and resource for me. He's been available. He's available to us. I'm actually very happy with his performance. He's proven himself, and I support him.
I concur. Mr. Dudley has worked closely with me and is available for any of my questions. He's cleared up a lot because 3 months ago I was just a guy just going to my job and watching Under the Dome on Monday. So this is a whole new experience for me. But Mr. Dudley's really been wonderful in educating me.
And Rick Dudley 3 years ago. Rick Dudley brings a unique skill set to our local government. He does work hard, and I don't always agree with him, but I'm more than willing to work with him. I think he's, like I said, he's a very unique man. I spoke to him at least 5 times this week. It's hard for me to evaluate someone without sitting on the opposite side of the dais and looking and being privy to the information. But I have no problem with his performance at this time. That's not to say down the road that we can't take a look if there's something that he wants to work on or that the council thinks that he needs to improve, that we can do it. Thank you.
Thank you. As a citizen, I think that the city manager has done an exemplary job for our organization. As the CEO for the city of Murrieta, he has managed the city through the worst recession that we've probably seen in our lifetimes with money in the bank. He's had a contingency, so he has and still been able to provide those services that we critically need here and that the citizens expect. He has developed an extraordinary management team. One of them is Bruce Coleman, who brought Barron's, which is equivalent to Trader Joe's here in town. As a CEO, he manages a wide variety of things in the city, from labor to fire to parks and rec. And I think he does an outstanding job. I've worked with 17, 18 city managers through my career, and Rick Dudley is exemplary. Thank you.
I concur with everything that's already been stated. I think he is a man who has had a very tough job the last 4 or 5 years, and he's had to make some very tough decisions, and he's shown the ability to do that. If elected and sitting on the city council, I feel I would be able to work with him very, very, very well. The communications I've had with him has been two-way. He's very open to answering any questions and allowing me to get information down in the weeds, so to speak, if he's not able to answer at that time. So I assess his performance is very good.
I, Mayor Bennett, Mayor Tomasian, were 3 of the 5 people who hired Rick Dudley in the year 2007. It was probably the best hiring we ever did in our lives. Every year in the springtime, the city council, the city manager, and senior staff sit down and discuss the goals for the coming year. 6 months after those goals are set, we give Rick Dudley an interim performance assessment. 6 months after the interim performance assessment, we measure him against the goals that were set and how well he's performed. So far, he's doing well.
I concur with my colleague, Councilmember Gibbs. One thing I'd like to add, if you think about when our city manager came on board, he came on board in the worst economic crisis we have ever seen. And I have to give him credit for putting the house in order. He has ran a balanced budget every single year. We've had to tighten our belts. Now some of that direction has come from the council, but he is responsible for the implementation of the policy we set and the direction the council gives. He's done an extraordinary job under the worst of conditions, and I commend him for that. Have I agreed with everything he has done? No. How do I assess that? As my colleague said, we used to give an annual performance evaluation. When I was elected, we changed that to 2 times a year because we wanted an opportunity to give input back and possibly change directions. To date, I continue to commend Rick Dudley for an outstanding job, and if I have a problem with him individually, I talk to him privately.
Thank you, candidates. Rick, I gotta say, that microphone is gonna be probably the cleanest microphone in the history of mankind. Thank you for doing that. And I see that you do that for so everybody to see that too. So thank you so much. Coming from the hospital, that's a good thing. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, when we ran out, that's our stop of the question when that goes out. Yeah. Thank you, all right, moving on to question number 3. We'll start with Kent here for question number 3 and then go down the line. Are you a business owner? If so, is your business licensed in the city of Murrieta and a member of the Chamber of Commerce? If not, why? If not a business owner, are you an individual member of the Chamber of Commerce?
I'm not a business owner, and I'm not a member of the Chamber of Commerce. That's about all I can say.
I moved to Marietta to retire, and when I started looking at the climate on what I wanted to do, we wanted to open a small restaurant or a business. Started working in Greer with the gatehouses and found that things were difficult, that the lines of communication weren't open to the average person here. And it made it hard to get anything accomplished. I manage storage facilities. I have investment in storage facilities outside Riverside County. I do not hold a business license in Marietta. My goal is to serve my community, and I've done that for 3 years here.
Thank you. No, I'm not a business owner, nor am I an individual member of the Chamber of Commerce, but I think probably after tonight I will be. Working in both public and private sector, I've worked for individuals, so I've had to do a number of things that you do for a business. Develop a plan for a particular project, develop that budget, develop that plan to get the product out on the street and to market it so that everybody knows what it is that you're doing. So in the transportation infrastructure program I put together, those were all pieces that I had to put together that many of you do as business owners, that business model, the customer, and getting that piece out. And I'm happy to talk to Patrick later about joining the Chamber of Commerce.
Well, as I gave you my background, it's obvious that I am not a business owner, and nor am I an individual member of the Chamber of Commerce. And quite frankly, until that question came up, I did not know you could be without being a business owner. So I was educated. It's been a good day. Obviously, I support the Chamber. You know, everything you hear nationally, what it does, and obviously what it's doing here locally. And if elected, I will be one of the biggest proponents. If not an individual member, I will be a proponent of the Chamber of Commerce.
I am not a business owner. However, I sit on the corporate board of the City of Murrieta. And the City of Murrieta is a member of the Chamber of Commerce. And I am the council's representative to the Chamber of Commerce. And I'd like to give Mr. Ellis a plug. Since he got here several years ago, he and Mr. Bennett, the chairman, have turned around the Chamber of Commerce. They've gone from less than 500 members to over 900 members. So I'm proud to be associated with the Murrieta Chamber of Commerce.
Technically, yes, I'm a business owner, but please let me explain. We don't have a lot of employees. It's part-time basis, my wife and I. The way we license our business is technically we had a home office, and I thought it prudent and above reproach being a council member that since I'm doing business out of the home, I should have a business license. So I have a business license with the City of Murrieta. I also had ownership in a franchise. That has since been sold. That's sort of why I started the home office. We have a rental in Murrieta, and because I conduct business at the rental, I also thought it prudent to be licensed, so I licensed my rental as a business. So that's technically why there's not a whole lot of operationally business going around, but we are business owners. We are members of the Chamber both through our business and through the City of Murrieta. But more importantly, as your council member in regards to business, I started the Business Advisory Committee so that it left an open door for businesses to communicate with myself and staff beyond the 3 minutes at a council meeting. This is regularly scheduled meetings where we get input from businesses locally. Thank you.
I am not a business owner, but I do understand the lifeblood of the country is coming from business. Cities, communities, everything runs through business, and I understand the importance of supporting the business owners and their families, small, medium, large. Everything stems from there. Everything we do as a government is to support the business. This country is founded on free market business, opportunities for us, equal opportunity for all of us to function and to do this. So no, I do not run a business, but I do have a high understanding of the rigors of a business, the importance of business, and to know that without people working in entrepreneurship and running businesses, that we don't have a successful country.
Okay, thank you. On to question number 4. We'll go ahead and start with you, Jonathan, on this one. If elected, please explain what your vision is for the city of Murrieta.
Consensus building is not a science, it's an art form. And I feel that I want to work with the city council in an environment where our city can thrive, where our citizens are paid attention to and we're spoken to, that we take a little more time than 3 minutes and somebody standing at a podium talking. And I understand our constraints with the Brown Act, but citizens need to be heard, voices need to be heard. When there's concerns, we need to openly address them and work with our citizens the best we can and accomplish things that I think that we need, like sitting down and finishing the Golden Triangle that's been setting for 20 years. I want it done. I don't care what it takes to get it done. Let's burn the midnight oil and finish it. It's going to provide 6,000 jobs in this community, $3 million a year in tax revenue. Let's figure out how to do it together. Thank you.
Well, I have the vision of Murrieta is a bright future, and I want to implement the general plan as the citizens of Murrieta envision that. Very strong and consistent message that we have a long-term vision of what it is that we're going to be. I want to develop that medical research park that has the twin bookends of Kaiser and Loma Linda, and with Rady Children's Hospital coming in, and some other interesting enterprises that we're working on. And finally, a really long vision is to develop a 4-year university for us here in Murrieta and in the Valley, that to cultivate that next generation of residents and entrepreneurs so they don't leave. They stay here. We don't have that brain drain. So our vision is bright, and we can work together and keep that consistent message. Thank you.
My vision is very much in common with the first 2 answers you heard, but I would like to add one part to that. One of my concerns is that Murrieta could grow too fast in terms of population, in terms of traffic, and many other areas like that, overcrowding in schools, etc. So I am very, very concerned as a resident, whether I'm on the city council or not, that Murrieta maintains that small town feel. That's what I fell in love with. That's why I wanted to stay here. That's why my wife and daughter want to live here as well. So that is key to me. And also a vision of maintaining not only a balanced budget, but working and doing everything I can in every vote I would cast to make sure that we have and maintain a contingency fund, because we had the downturn in 2008, and we most likely have another one. And I want to be ready for it and not be surprised by it.
Number one is that the quality of life that we all move to this valley for must be maintained. We need to provide more jobs for our residents so that they're not traveling 60 miles each way to their high-tech jobs in San Diego or Orange County. At the same time, we need to bring a 4-year university to the region. We need to ensure that we can say to future potential employers that our kids are being educated in the industries of the future, and here's the university that's doing it. We need more hospital care. And lastly, we need to ensure that we remain the caring and connected community that we have been for the last 15 years. And again, that's where neighbors know one another, and when you go out of town, your neighbor picks up your papers so that the bad guys don't know you're out of town. That's the neighborhood that I want to live in.
As my colleague said, I want to echo him a bit because we've worked real hard on that. It starts with the general plan that sets the foundation, and then through the city goals. You mentioned the quality of life. Let me explain. Our economy must grow. We must provide jobs for the 65% of commuters that go outside of our area for their jobs, good paying jobs. We must maintain a high level of public safety. In addition to a small town feel, the number one thing I hear from residents is they move to Murrieta because they feel safe. And that's true. We've maintained one of the safest cities in the nation for decades, and you're 4.5 more times likely to survive a heart attack here because of the paramedic services we provide. We need to maintain our fiscal responsibility. We need to continue the infrastructure that traffic flows. If you've noticed, every overpass in Murrieta is nearly complete of its expansion, and that's for future growth. Our community services need to be second to none, and we need to maintain a caring and connected community so we never, ever lose that small hometown feel despite how much growth we have. Thank you.
I see a consensus up here. Murrieta is growing at a wonderful rate, which is very good. It's very healthy. Growth is what we need. It's one of the reasons we're here. I love it. Some concerns I have, though, are high density, overcrowding, which turns around and affects everything. Public safety, the quality of life. These things need to grow with the population. We need to increase the amount of businesses we develop to, again, sustainable jobs. It's one thing to create jobs, but part-time jobs aren't feeding the family. We need sustainable, high-quality, high-paying jobs to keep the workers here. I work for the city of San Diego. I commute. I feel that pain. It's part of the quality of life is time I miss with my family. And I know many of us here feel that same. I'd like to see that continue to stay here, to continue to grow in that direction as we develop the business and control the growth in a sense of family housing and business development rather than more or too much residential housing.
I'm Kent Leeper. I talked about my vision mainly, that freedom is enshrined and tyranny is pushed back, and we can do that here. And the city protects its residents from that. My vision is also that we're business friendly because businesses are kind of important in the economy. And then lastly, that we're very responsible fiscally, that we should spend the public's money wisely and not look for other ways to spend it. And so those three things, I think a lot of us pretty much agree with on that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, on to question number 5. Ruth Ann, you'll start this time for us. Has the city of Murrieta done a good job on attracting business to the city? Why or why not? As a city council member, what are your plans to attract business to the city?
Wow. I think the city has done an outstanding job in attracting business. When we went through a recession and still saw a rise in business licenses coming into our jurisdiction, that shows that we have really stepped up to the plate and provided a number of business-friendly practices. We have a community development director in Bruce Coleman that stops at nothing to try and make phone calls, put property owners with business owners to try to expand. So we've done an outstanding job. And as a city council person, I would want to maintain that consistency. I would certainly go to any meeting, be part of any committee, go to any conference that the city manager or Bruce Coleman thought I could be helpful to. So I have a number of ideas of what I could do. I'm happy to talk to anyone else after this workshop, and I will stop there. Thank you very much.
Well, like Ruth Ann, I've had a chance to meet with Bruce Coleman and as well as Rick Dudley and talk about the business-friendly atmosphere of the city and a lot of the work they've done. And I echo what Ruth Ann said, and I would even compliment Mayor Long and Mr. Gibbs, current city council members, on the job that they've done. We definitely have had success in the city of Murrieta attracting what I would categorize as bigger business, with CarMax coming in, the Loma Linda in the past, Kaiser coming, and those are great things. I don't know if well, I can tell you for sure, talking with a small business owner in Temecula, the perception still for small business amongst the people I've talked with, granted, not Murrieta residents now, but they say it's not as business friendly as they think it could be. I'm not saying that's the right perception. I think it's an old perception, but we still have to deal with it, and as a city council member, I will do anything I can to improve that perception.
The city of Murrieta begins by finding sites for business. That would be Waterstone Faucets and Kaiser. We find financing. That would be Sizzler. We give them permitting help. Giant RV, Jerome's, Residence Inn, Bulldog Brewery, and the Ombudsman Services. That would be Public House. Let's talk about Waterstone Faucets for a minute. They have been successful during the years of recession. They had a plan to leave Murrieta because they needed to double their space. In 3 days, the city of Murrieta found them a 42,000 square foot factory. In 3 weeks, they had moved. And 1 year later, they have grown from 20 employees to 104 employees thanks to the city of Murrieta.
And taking it where Rick left off, that is why the Inland Empire Economic Partnership, which consists of 2 counties, Riverside and San Bernardino, voted Murrieta #1 in economic development, specifically in job creation and retention. That's out of 38 cities in both counties, and that's an independent poll that they nominated, and we won. And that's a result of hard work. That's a result of hard work in bad economic times. Rick mentioned a lot of businesses that have come to Murrieta. He didn't mention that we gained more jobs than we lost in this economic crisis we've been in. And that's a huge accomplishment for any city to do. That happened right here in the city of Murrieta. A couple other programs that we established a fast track program. That program was the result of that was building a hospital in record-setting time. Loma Linda was built from conception to end in 2 years. It's the main reason why Kaiser chose and are coming here now and building an 80-acre campus here in Murrieta that will be the other part of the catalyst needed to infill the 2 areas in the 215 corridor. Thank you.
I agree that the city council we have now has done an outstanding job. The city has shown its willingness to work with a lot of businesses. I do believe we could double down on this though. For example, myself, I wanted to do some work in my own backyard, and I had to go to the city and pay $370 just to get permission to work in my yard, do my work. So I still think there's some bureaucracy and different things that I have a hard time with, that I feel that we can work on. And that's just one little example. But as I talk to different businesses, they still have not just a perception, but some of them are giving me examples. So there's still some stuff we could double down on and fix, but for the most part, we're on the right track, we're doing it right, and I agree with how we're moving.
I would say to keep businesses interested in coming here, just get rid of as much red tape as possible and not add any more. Keep the fees as low as possible. And I would say that any new businesses that plans for it should go quickly through the city planner so it doesn't take too long. If you have an atmosphere like that, businesses flock to an area like that. Thank you.
What I do is I take a look at the economic leakage that's happening. Anybody that lives in Murrieta can look at Menifee and see how well Menifee has done. We look at Temecula, we see how well Temecula has done. When I go to dinner and I spend my dollars, I want to spend them in Murrieta. I want to make sure that those tax dollars are being spent here and that we're creating incentives to keep businesses here and fill the vacancies that we have. That is essential. Our tax revenue comes from point of sale. We need to figure out how to drive that and push it. And I would be more than willing to work with Bruce any way I can and sit with a megaphone to try and drive businesses, pull businesses back here and say that we are user-friendly. Perception is reality. Thank you.
Thank you. On to question 6. Ryan will lead off on this one. Please explain your understanding of a tax, a fee, and an assessment, and what's the difference?
Well, I think we all know what a tax is. A tax is income tax that you pay. Comes out of your paycheck. A fee, it's a little bit different, and I think sometimes politicians use the word fee in lieu of saying the word tax, what they really mean. A good example is that we even had that all the way to the Supreme Court with Obamacare. But there are legitimate fees, fire department for the inspection fees, et cetera. So as a council member, I would look at those and make sure they're competitive with other cities, and that, again, it helps with the perception of business. I have to be honest, as an assessment, I don't really have an answer for that.
Okay, for tax that relates to the city of Murrieta, property tax, you pay 1% to the government in the state of California. Of that dollar that you pay to your government, the city of Murrieta gets 6 cents for the general fund, and your fire department gets 8 cents for the general fund. A fee would be something that, for service, like Mayor Long referred to earlier, his business, he paid a $75 licensing fee. A assessment would be something that is not voluntarily. It's usually associated with infrastructure. So for everybody who lives in a tract home in Murrieta, you moved into a home that was already in a landscape and lighting district, and on your property tax bill, there's probably a number there. In my case, I'm in landscaping and lighting district number 5, and I pay $120 every half.
To add on, that's exactly correct. The tax, there's actually 2 taxes as well. There's a general tax and then a specific tax. So, for example, you can put the general tax that Councilmember Gibbs is talking about. We receive in the general fund 6 cents from every dollar. The fire district receives 8 cents, and the library receives even less than that. A majority of that property tax goes to school districts, believe it or not to cities like some think. A fee, also keep in mind, the fee is exactly how Councilmember Gibbs explained. However, a fee is if you use it, you're charged. If you don't use it, you're charged, which is much different than a tax. A tax, you get charged whether you use it or not. Assessment, the best way to describe an assessment, some of you have improvements because of your development. Maybe did the streets wider, added trails, and there was an assessment to pay for that. So you're assessed on a certain area of the city. Not everyone is assessed for that type of improvement.
Well, there's only so many times you can define the 3. So, coming around the tail end here. But essentially, yes, tax, fees, assessments, they're forms of income. The major difference would be a fee is to supplement the cost of the service that you're getting through the city. Sometimes it'll cover it, sometimes it just barely covers it. Again, with the fire department, for example, with the paramedic fee that they have going on, it barely damages the cost that it takes to run that fire truck and use those paramedics. So that's the major difference there versus tax assessment and fees. Definition, same, just as my fellow candidates have explained.
Well, Mr. Long and Mr. Gibbs has adequately educated us on this, so I hope everybody took notes out there. I'm educated too, thank you.
The community that I'm president of has 700 homes, and in that community, we pay approximately $2,500 a year in mellow roofs. I'm not a big fan of assessments in any way. I think when you purchase a home and you're paying your property tax, the whole purpose of Proposition 13 was to protect you, to make sure that you knew what this expense was going to be and what your recurring expenses are. And if it was possible, and we can do this, I would like to refinance those bonds and see if we can bring that cost down for those constituents. Remember, every dollar we keep in this community circulates 7 times. We need to take a look at trying to create more income streams and get rid of the fees and the processes that hurt us. Not that they shouldn't exist, but we need to take a different look at it. Thank you.
You properly disinfected that?
Yes, I mistakenly disinfected it after my last use because I didn't remember I was going to be speaking first.
So Ruth Ann she needs to speak on this still.
Oh, and
Now I got it disinfected.
And I'm selfishly keeping this microphone. While you do that, here you go with it.
Thank you very much. We can talk about the different definitions, and a tax is something that's levied against an individual for general services and public services of a general nature. You can have special taxes and general taxes, which we talked about. A fee is typically for something that you pay for individually, a service, plan check, a business license. There are special kinds of fees, like development impact fees, that require a specific type of study or a benefit in a relationship to that fee. And an assessment is the same type of thing. It's an involuntary payment on a property that is based on that level of benefit that that property receives. So if you're redoing the streets or your sewer within that, depending on the level of benefit that your property receives, will be the level of assessment that's associated with that. So you need to do an analysis that your fee and or assessment is related to your benefits. So there are a wide variety of types of things that we have in the city that we need to move forward with and make sure that we can provide those services.
I was actually curious about that question. And I'm thinking, that's a definition of those three. But it's curious, as it goes around, very unique to see that perspective. It's kind of like why we take what? Algebra in middle school, in high school, in college, right? So, interesting. Thank you, candidates. Appreciate that. Question 7, we'll start with Rick. There are 2 different types of government formation for cities to adopt: general law and charter. Do you support the current structure, or do you think the city of Murrieta would benefit from changing it?
Murrieta is a general law city. The reason some cities went to charter cities was so they would essentially write their own constitution versus following the Constitution of the state of California. The primary reason they did that was economic. If you were a charter city, you didn't have to pay the prevailing wage that governs wage rates in the state of California for public projects. Several years ago, the legislature, of course, in their infinite wisdom, changed the law so that no longer applies. So for the city of Murrieta, there's really no good rationale as to why we should change at this current time at our size from general law city to charter.
Councilmember Gibbs is correct. There used to be significant benefits of being a charter city. I work for a charter city, and they still have their own constitution, have the benefits prior to the legislator changing the rules. However, there might be a slight advantage in the way of sales tax. You have a little more control over your sales tax if you're a charter city than you do as a general law city. We send all of our sales tax to the state, and they give us the small cut. There is a potential benefit if you are a charter city for that. The other benefit that potentially I see, we don't necessarily have to be a charter city, but charter cities typically elect their mayor. And that could be something we look into in the near future, since that seems to be a controversial position as we rotate that between the council members.
There's definite pros and cons to both. The pros for charter city were more beneficial in the past, as they've been saying. One of the biggest pros I see is the little bit of increased independence we get from the state. And a city like Murrieta, which tends to be a little bit more conservative, most independent we can get from Sacramento is a good thing to me. I would like to see that. However, where we're at now, I think being under the general law is a fit for us as the city grows, and maybe something we can look at. I agree with Mayor Long about having a mayor election. I think that would be a good benefit for us to be able to elect a mayor and let the people pick rather than members of the council.
I feel that the more independent we can be from the state, the better. But I discussed this also with the city manager, Mr. Dudley, and I felt like whatever small advantages there are in charter cities, in charter cities, general. That where we are now is the best benefit to Murrieta. And so he explained that to me, and it just seems like Mr. Dudley is a man of very good experience And so I think I agree with him.
Remember, as a general law city, what happens is anytime the governor signs anything, that law is applicable to us. So his decisions do impact us and affect us. I would like to see a strong mayoral system here. I don't have a problem with it. And I think we should keep exploring every year whether or not we should become a charter city or stay a general law city. I think that we need to define who we are and what we want, rather than state government doing it for us.
We'll go let Rick adopt that microphone tonight.
Thank you. We are a general law city. We operate under the general laws of California, and all cities are required to obey state law, irrespective of if you are a charter city or not. I think we would need to seriously consider looking at that, since most of the benefits of being a charter city have largely evaporated. And I agree with our strong city manager and city council point leadership, and I think it's worked out just fine. Council has worked extremely hard over the last 8 years to really bring us up to the forefront and make us the gem of the valley. Thank you.
When I first looked at those two definitions, I immediately thought, well, we should look at becoming a charter city. But I have done more research and tempered that decision for many of the reasons that have already been discussed. If you look at the city's goals in terms of what they do for support in Sacramento, you can see that everything the city focuses on is to reduce the state's control over Murrieta. And I am a big supporter of that. However, I don't think at this time we should migrate to a charter city. It is something that can be looked at in the future, but it would have to be done thoughtfully, well-planned, and over time.
Thank you. All right, we're getting into the last stretch here. So several more questions or so as we go forward. So we'll start back again here with Alan. Would you support higher taxes to maintain current levels of services expected by the residents of the city of Murrieta? Why or why not?
In 1 minute, really. Okay. That's a very convoluted question. We are constantly measuring what the citizens are getting for the money we have in our current revenue, currently in our revenue and forecasted. So to answer the question, I think it's our job to be fiscally responsible and fiduciary responsible with your money. So we need to continue to provide those levels of service that our city has grown accustomed to. However, there are some things that are outdated. For example, the house rooftop tax that the fire has charged since incorporation. That $44 is not worth what it was when they first passed that. So the return on investment to the customer isn't there anymore. And additionally, you could potentially save some money. That would be a good investment. If we could improve fire service and increase the ISO rating, that would mean a decrease in all of your insurance rates. And that, to me, is a good return on investment for the customer, being you, the citizens. So it's a yes and no. If we can get a good return on investment and decrease the out-of-pocket expenses for our residents, something like that I would consider yes.
Anything involving high taxes is, higher is bad. When you hear the word, I should say. I agree with this, what he said. You have to assess the entire situation of it all as far as what's coming in and out. Quality of life is what it goes back to. If we can fund what we have with what we have, then we should live within our means. But we are sorely lacking. But there are other forms of income. I know, for police and fire, there's grants out there. There's plenty of grants we can seek. And I know they are seeking them. And they regularly go after them. So there's different ways to supplement the costs and to work on these things, to improve these things, and make sure it's good quality investments, things that last, rather than poor quality, essentially. So I oppose higher taxes as much as we possibly can to make sure our quality of life stays where it is, if not improve.
Definitely not higher taxes. People are hurting out there. And so the city needs to look for other ways to maintain the services that it provides. And I know that there are other ways to do that, and it just has to be thoughtfully looked at. But higher taxes, no way. There's too much pressure for higher taxes from too many other areas of government, so we don't need to be going there.
Any tax increase, no, period. Unacceptable. We figure out how to maintain our resources and look at how we create income in our city. It's not what we make, it's what we keep. If we allow anything to happen to Proposition 13, you will see a mass exodus in the state of California in epidemic proportion. People stay here because they know what their tax base is on their home. Absolutely not.
Thank you. The city is in good shape. Again, we've weathered an extraordinary recession, and we did it with money in our contingency fund. So our outlook is very strong. We are having more business come in. We are doing an excellent job on providing services already. So I don't see that in our future to do anything of that sort. Ellen's correct that the fire department, I thought it was an assessment, has not been indexed, but we've still been able to provide those services. Our fire department has done an outstanding job on that. So I wouldn't support a tax increase. And Prop 13 is one of the things that required some of these new taxes and CFDs and assessments to be in place because cities weren't able to provide the services through the property tax value. So there's a positive to Prop 13, but then there's that negative side that requires cities to find alternative means to funding the needed programs.
I too am no to new taxes. Now, in the definitions we had several minutes ago, we talked about property tax, and that's been touched on, and we talked about sales tax. Well, California already has one of the highest sales tax in the nation, and that hurts business in the long run. I would not be a proponent of anything. And of course, what Murrieta gets of that sales tax, and the point of sales tax is good, but it's still not that much. But any raise in taxes means, I think, hurts business. So I'm not a proponent of taxes increase. Now, there is fiscal constraints we have to deal with, and there is services and responsibilities the city has. Before I would look at anything for raising any revenues in any other way, for fees or assessments, the city manager has to prove to me that every belt has been tightened to the last hole, and then you actually made a new hole and tightened it a little bit more before I would be a proponent for more revenue that way.
We did tighten every belt, and we tightened it some more. In January 2008, the city manager called me up. He's the brand new city manager. I'm the brand new mayor. He says, we found $9 million extra. I said, that's great. Hard to believe. Where'd it come from? Mostly supplemental property taxes in the year 2006, processed by the Board of Equalization 2007. The check shows up in January 2008. And I said, have you told any of the other council members? He said, no, you're the mayor. And I said, before you do, we're going to agree on what we're going to do with it. It took 15 seconds, and we knew that the economy was going to tank. We said this is the economic contingency fund. Of that $9 million, $5 million is still left. We managed the city well. And when the seniors complained to me that the whipped cream had disappeared from the senior center, I told Rick Dudley, if we don't get that whipped cream back, you and I are going to split the cost of whipped cream. No taxes.
Thank you. Question number 9, we'll go ahead and with Matthew. Yes. What are your capital funding priorities, and how would you fund those priorities?
Well, the priority is, again, maintaining our quality of life. We just talked about taxes and where they come from and how we're going to manage that. Public safety goes in to everything. It is something that is key. People don't want to live in a city that's unsafe. Business doesn't want to come to a city that's not safe. People don't want to shop at businesses in a city that's not safe. So the priority is it goes to fire department, police department. We talked about the safest city in the state, and a lot of people reference that directly to the police department. And the fire department gets overshadowed quite a bit, and that's a shame, because they need a lot of support from us. They are hurting, I would say, more than the police department is at this point. And they would be our public safety, quality of life overall, maintaining our citizens, our safety is my priority.
I would say public safety and also keeping the city as pleasant of a place as it is now with 51 parks and improving roads and everything that it's doing. I really agree with what's going on in the city of Murrieta.
I feel from a first responder standpoint, the city council has done a phenomenal job. We are the third safest city in the United States. Having said that, we have the $60 million capital improvement that's already been approved by the city council, which they're working on, which is over the next 5 years. Trying to look where I would want to put capital investments, I'd start looking at, let's clean up Old Town Murrieta. Let's sit down and go, historical Murrieta needs some attention. Even if that means we need to get together as neighbors and residents and bring our weed eaters and trash cans to help start cleaning up. I think we're moving in the right direction, having the auto show. I would love to see a Renaissance fair. I'd like to see some things where we capitalize on using historical Murrieta and create a synergy between new and old Murrieta. It's important. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree with a lot of what's already been said. Murrieta does have a 5-year capital improvement program that's moving forward to provide infrastructure for the city and amenities moving forward. And we need to implement that. One of the things is Murrieta Creek. We need to continue to press the Corps of Engineers and work with the Flood Control District and our supervisor's office to move forward to get that finished. We have done the first 2 phases. We're looking at a 3rd phase, but the 4th phase is in Murrieta as well. One of the things that we need to do is make sure that our public safety is fully staffed, fully equipped for what they need to keep us, again, one of the safest cities in the United States. The capital improvements program is just that, capital expenditures. So again, I think we have a great capital improvements program that we're moving forward with. We've completed many of those projects, and Murrieta Creek is that one that I want to look at.
The capital improvement plan, I too reviewed it extensively. I think probably the number 1 priority, and this was talked about at the recent city council meeting, is the Keller Road interchange. That has to be done, and the city council, Mayor Long and Mr. Gibbs, sitting here, they made the right vote, in my opinion, to increase the funds needed there to get the work moving faster. I would be a proponent of that. That needs to be done if we want that 215 corridor, and Kaiser is expecting it. I want to take a little bit of a hybrid on what Jonathan said and Ruth Ann. Jonathan talked about Old Town, Ruth Ann talking about Murrieta Creek. After the last forum, I've gone down to Murrieta Creek and I've looked at it, and I see the danger of that if we have what Mayor Long referred to as the 100 or 500 year storm. The danger that poses to that area of town. That needs to be looked at, but we might not be able to get the money or the Corps of Engineers to move it. So the hybrid with Jonathan is, what can we do as citizens? Get down there and maybe we take our weed whackers and start cleaning some of it out.
Well, it sounds like a good idea, but it's an environmentally protected area, and we wouldn't be allowed down there with our weed whackers. But for the capital improvement program, as Ruth Ann said, Murrieta Creek is, of course, a source of concern for all of us. We know what happened in this area in 1993. The Corps of Engineers has dragged their feet. Congressman Calvert has pressed them. We have $30 million of county money, $33 million of county money that we're actually going to start spending pretty soon, but that only gets us halfway. Police department vehicles, we need to buy 10 patrol cars per year. Fire trucks, we just bought a ladder truck only a couple weeks ago. The I-215 and Clinton Keith Road is going to be pursued starting next year to Winchester. That is a project that I got $17 million out of the county for. I-15 Loop Ramp Road off Murrieta Hot Springs, and the I-215 in Keller for both hospitals that will be in the area. Thank you.
Question was capital funding priorities and how would you fund them? 3 priorities are public safety, infrastructure, quality of life. First, public safety, and how do you fund it? Continue to fund that, the taxes we already get, and the assessments. And only consider an increase in assessment if we can put money back into the pockets of the taxpayers, like I mentioned before. Infrastructure comes through development impact fees. We can explore grants and that sort of thing, but the majority of funding will come from impact fees when development occurs. We'll increase our revenue and be able to provide more infrastructure. We have laid out a very aggressive 5-year capital improvement plan. As Councilmember Gibbs said, Clinton Keith extending to Winchester Road is part of that. Also, Murrieta Hot Springs at Murrieta expanded all the way out to Winchester to handle the volume. Right now we have a volume issue on Murrieta Hot Springs Road. Those lights are synchronized. If we did anything other than the way they're synchronized now, we bottleneck at the 15 freeway and 215. HDMA, the historic downtown, is vital for our future and economic growth. And I agree with some of the other statements. We need to focus on historic downtown. We have 3 buildings coming there in the process right now, but we need more.
Okay. We'll go ahead and go ahead with 2 more questions here. Is that okay, Patrick? 1 more? Okay. So here's the last question before we have closing statements. What, in your opinion, will be the greatest challenge the city of Murrieta will face in the next 5 years? I think it's Kent.
Well, I would say the greatest challenge would just be to fight back against freedom encroaching mandates from the state and the national government.
This is a hard topic to cover in 1 minute, but I can tell you that we can start with water. It's going to cost more than gas, and we've got to figure out how to figure better hydroscaping, how to use less of it. It's going to be consumption, not what we're paying. It's going to cost us a fortune. And the next thing is we have to figure out how to stop losing anchor stores to our sister cities and get them here so that we have the movie theaters here, or revitalize our movie theater, or bring people in and start thinking outside the box and go, hey, Bruce, can we go look at this? How do we get these jobs and stores here? It needs to be a variety of jobs. Not everyone is going to be in biotech. Some people are plumbers, some people are electricians, some people are painters. So we need to figure out how to get those jobs and create those jobs in our city and keep them here so that we keep our revenue in Murrieta. We cannot regulate ourselves into prosperity with diff or tump. It's not going to work. Thank you.
Thank you. I think one of our greatest challenges, again, is maintaining that our quality of life into the future and protecting that and implementing our general plan very consistently. We need to create those jobs here to allow our residents an opportunity to make a choice as to where they want to go. And we need to continue to pursue every avenue of economic development and job creation, because small business is the economic engine of the United States of America, and it's the economic engine of the city of Murrieta. So we need to continue that. It's a jobs war for us out there, and we need to prevail in that. So with that, that would be my greatest challenge, and keeping our quality of life. And Jonathan does bring up a good point about water and what we need to do and how to preserve that and be more efficient in that. So with that, again, I have a lot to talk about on challenges. I'm happy to talk to anyone afterwards, but I'll conclude.
I'm not a doom and gloom person, but I do think we are heading for another economic downturn. Nationally, the state, and it will impact us locally. So, as a city council member, one of the things I would do, besides all the priorities, public safety, the funding that's required, and they've done a very good job. And as Mr. Gibbs has talked about, the belt was tightened many times. Recently, at a city council meeting, they did the reassessment of projected revenues for 14-15, and it's a good news story, and I hope that continues. But my gut, so to speak, tells me that we need to look at not only the contingency fund that is had with the state money that Mr. Gibbs talked about, but we'll probably need to start saving by spending everything we get with increased revenue, because we may need it in the future.
The number one challenge is maintaining local control in the face of the state of California. After the redevelopment agencies were abolished, Jerry Brown said, Murrieta, you owe us $5 million. And we said, for what? And they said, well, your housing agency paid a loan back to the general fund, and that's illegal. And we said, but when we paid it back to the general fund, it was legal. And Jerry Brown said, we changed the law. That is going all the way to the state Supreme Court. So that $5 million that we have left in emergency, we'll try it again in contingency funds, will remain there till that lawsuit is settled. If it's settled in our favor, then we have $5 million to spend on police and fire vehicles. In addition, as was alluded to, there is a study underway right now looking at what the jobs of the future really are. We want to know what retailers are going to survive Amazon.com, and that study is taking place as we speak.
I agree with my colleague completely, and since he chose that topic, I'm going to choose a different topic. I actually said our biggest challenge, I wrote down here, biggest challenge is Sacramento, closely followed by Washington, D.C. So since he already spoke on it, and I agree with him, I'm going to talk on a different subject. I'm going to talk about the quality of life aspect. I'm going to talk about the city goal that we adopted last year that says we will foster a caring and connected community in everything we do. And that will become more and more difficult when we grow again. And as businesses are starting to come and development starts to occur, every project we approve, we need to keep the future in mind and make sure that we never lose what we have and what people have come to Murrieta for. And that's that feeling of safety and being a caring and connected community. It's vital. In Anaheim, we've lost it. The survey said in Anaheim that that's what they want back. They felt they didn't know their neighbor. They wanted that small hometown feel. And Anaheim is spending hundreds and thousands of dollars to get it back. It's always been in Murrieta and continues to be. We can never lose it.
Murrieta has become, and always has been, a beacon of conservatism. It is attracting people from everywhere. The very growth that we love to see is also one of our biggest threats, is maintaining that growth, doing it at a healthy rate, healthy level, and maintaining our services to grow with it, with businesses and job opportunities. Even in the 5 years I've lived here, I've watched it change quickly. Traffic's increased, and the city's doing what it can to meet it. We're working with the county and the state trying to do, keep the infrastructure up. And the departments, such as police and fire, even though they're strapped on what they're doing, they're spread thin, they're doing an outstanding job, given what they have to work with. But that is one of our biggest threats, and that leads to all around, and that's because of what Sacramento's doing, what Washington, D.C. is doing, is everyone's leaving where they're at. The same as I did with my family, bringing to a place of better opportunity. That's why we're here in Murrieta.
Okay, thank you, candidates. Appreciate your time during that question and answer period. Now we'll go ahead with closing statements. And as we did in the beginning with opening, we went from Alan all the way down this way to Rick. On closing, we'll start with Rick and go down this way, and then end with Alan. Rick?
Okay, one last time with this unsanitary microphone. My record of accomplishments over the last 9 years is long, and so is the list of citizens' help. But the reality is government is a team sport. No one accomplishes anything without the ability to work together. While I can take credit for being the sole council member responsible for Loma Linda coming to our city, I needed the help, cooperation of a whole lot of staff, professionals, and city government. Let me sum up what has been accomplished in the last 4 years and where we go in the future. Consistently a top 10 safest city. Quality healthcare access increased substantially. Job creation among the best in Riverside County with a focus on science, technology, engineering, math. Business friendly, bar none. about $150 million put in infrastructure. Budget in the black, BMW, Public House, Cardenas Market, Barron's Market, CarMax, Marriott Residence Inn, and Marriott Courtyard. In the years to come, Murrieta will maintain its quality of life and all that it entails. The future is bright. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I really appreciate it. Obviously, to be up on this stage with these gentlemen and lady, it's just a tremendous opportunity. They're all fine people, and they all seek the opportunity to serve just as I do. Murrieta is a town, a city that, as I said, is my adopted home. I seek to serve. You know, I thank God every day that I live in a town like this, that my wife and daughter are able to enjoy life, and I don't have to worry about their safety or be concerned about where they're going. It really is a diamond in the valley, and that's why I've made it my adopted home, and I am going to stay here. If elected, you've heard my priorities. I believe in fiscal. I'm a very strong fiscal conservative, not spending money you don't have, and also one thing we haven't really discussed much at all tonight, property owner rights. It's very high on my platform. Property owner rights is key.
Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity to speak to all of you. I spoke earlier about job applicants, and that's what this is. And so it's qualifications, experience, and results. And what have I done for Murrieta? I've provided $35 million in funding for transportation infrastructure improvements that citizens of Murrieta enjoy today, and that created over 3,600 jobs. I'm part of a team that created the Home Energy Retrofit Opportunity Program that provides financing for energy and water conservation retrofits for homes and businesses. In Murrieta, there have been 957 jobs, 18 million in value, and 180 jobs created here in Murrieta. On the Planning Commission, I've been part of a team that has reviewed and recommended to the City Council a wide variety of residential and commercial projects. And I embrace the caring and connected community where residents and businesses are treated like the valuable customers that we all are. So please remember to vote for Ruth Ann Taylor Berger for your next councilwoman November 4th.
If I have the honor to serve you, I can promise you that my door is going to be open for you. My telephone number is on any piece of campaign propaganda that you see. Anyone that lives in Burr Ranch or that I've worked with in the city knows I'm accessible. What I strive for is what's best for our community, and I'm willing to work with anybody in the city to achieve that. I think that we can do this and we can work together as a team, as a community, and I believe that Murrieta can grow and still maintain Murrieta. We won't lose that. But if we don't figure out how to do that and start doing it now, in the event that the state pulls another trick like they've pulled, whether it was with Proposition 30, where they add more taxes, we need to be able to fend for ourselves and be independent. We need to figure out how to keep more of our money here. And that's what I will do. And I will make sure that I'm accessible and that everything that I'm involved with is transparent. Thank you.
My name is Kent Leeper, and I'm running for City Council to ring in freedom. Freedom for residents and freedom for businesses. The 10th Amendment toolbox contains a tool we can use to accomplish this called nullification. The sanctuary cities have nullified federal immigration law. Our 1996 medical marijuana Proposition 215 nullified federal law against marijuana. I'm running for the little people because they are supposed to be running this country. I'm running because the power of government has made us feel like little people, and I'll tell you that the power of government is in you. I'm running because my vision for Murrieta is that it be the shining gem of freedom in the ballot. I'm running to make sure its residents can say, government agent, you leave, you have no jurisdiction here, so get your badge out of my face and leave. I will take the vitamins I want, eat the food I want, buy the light bulb I want, and by the way, your drones are prohibited here, so take them with you. What is it to be born free and not to live free? Leap forward with Leaper.
It's a tough one to follow. I want to thank everybody for again for this opportunity, and I thank my fellow candidates for coming out and participating. I'm not here to shake things up. I like the direction the city's going, and I want to support that. I want to keep us on the right track. I'm not here to butt heads and to change the world and make everything different. And like you, I have an understanding of how important these local elections are, how strongly, how effectively they can impact our lives. Like you in life, whether it's where you've been, where you are, or where you're going, I'm like you. I'm a member of this community. I'm embedded in this community. I'm raising my family here. I commute. I work. I understand what we're going through. What I'm unique is my decision-making ability. I can make decisions. I work in an environment where I show up and make decisions for people in the worst moments of their life. And I do it consistently, effectively, with very little to no information. It is something I excel at. I promise to do what it takes to bring that leadership to the City Council and to do whatever it takes to earn your trust. I said it once and I'm going to say it again. I'm not doing this for the title. I already have the two best titles, father and husband.
Growing up in Murrieta, excuse me, my family knew Murrieta was a special place, even when it was a town of 2,000. Now we're a town of 106,000, and we still are a special place. In 2010, when you elected me, we had a record number of foreclosures. Today, foreclosures are non-existent, and home values have increased 50% in some areas of the city. Revenue was down in 2010. Revenue is up for the fourth quarter in a row. We have seen a rise in revenue in the city of Murrieta. Businesses are now coming back when they were closing. Hospitals that were going to be shut down have passed their state exams and have expanded, and new hospitals have been built. Nearly every overpass has been expanded in Murrieta, and bridges were literally built. Inland Empire Economic Partnership voted us #1 in business creation and retention. We were voted #4 in the nation for best place to raise a young family, top-rated schools, and I can go on and on. Two things come to mind when I think of Murrieta. People feel safe, and we have a small town feel. I've been honored to be endorsed by both police and fire because of my experience in leadership, my unique historical perspective, character. My name is Alan Long. Murrieta is my home. It always has been, and it always will be. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. A round of applause for all of our candidates this evening. Thank you so much. And thank you to each one of you for coming this evening and being a part of this. Appreciate your participation. As for your information, the candidates forum tonight, you can see right here, center stage, is being recorded, and the forum will be uploaded to YouTube afterward for everyone to view, and I understand Patrick completely unedited, so just right there for you. So thank you for this evening for coming out tonight. Everybody have a good evening. Thank you.